All right, guys, welcome to this page of the notes, and let's go ahead and use the knowledge we now have about exponential and logarithmic functions to help us solve a sale problem. Here's what we've got in this problem. A store is offering a clearance sale on a certain type of digital camera. The original price of the camera is $198. The price decreases by 10% each week until all of the cameras are sold. How many weeks will it take for the price of the camera to drop below half the original price? Now, a couple of things about this. First of all, I'm looking at this guy and I go, well, I'm given a percentage, right? And it tells me right in the problem, the price decreases by that percentage. I know two things right away. I have decay, and because I'm given a percent, I have exponential decay. So I'm going to need my exponential decay formula, which actually I've given you here. Again, if you're taking this class with me on quizzes and tests, I won't give you that formula. It's really easy to know which one's the right one. Just look for a percentage if you've got a percentage, or if you don't, and whether it's growth or decay, which you'll always be able to determine quickly by reading the problem. So anyway, here's our formula. We're going to go ahead and plug in everything we need to know. This one is a little different though, because please notice it says how many weeks will it take for the price of the camera to drop below half the original price. I'm going to need to set up an inequality, but no big deal, we can do that. All right, here we go. First things first, I have a camera that has an original price of $198, $198. 1 minus, well, the rate is 10%. I have to convert that to a decimal, move the decimal spot 2 places to the left, so 0.1. I'm trying to solve for t. I want to know how many weeks will it take for the price of the camera to drop below half the original price. Well, what is half the original price? Half of 198 is 99. But I want the price of the camera to be less than half the original price. So it's actually going to be an inequality where the price of the camera is less than half the original price. Here we go. I plugged in all of the variables I know. We need to solve for t. Let's get started. Divide 198 to the other side. Dividing by a positive 198 does not flip my inequality. I'll also at the same time subtract 0.1, so you wind up with 0.9. Let's do 0.9 raised to the t power. 99 divided by 198 is going to be 1/2. Well, we actually saw something very similar to this in the problem we just did. What I'm trying to solve for, t, is an exponent. I need to get that variable out of the exponent position so I can solve for it, which means I'll just simply take a common logarithm of both sides. Algebra says whatever you do to one side, you got to do to both sides, and every calculator has a common logarithm button on it. So we'll just take the common log of both sides. Common log of 1/2 greater than the common log of 0.9 to the t power. Now, why do I take the common log? Well, thanks to the exponential properties of logarithms, I now have an argument raised to a power, which means that power can be brought down out front and multiplied as a coefficient. Awesome. So I have the log, common log of 1/2 is greater than t times the common log of 0.9. Let me slide up so you guys can see what I'm working on. And here we go. To get that t by itself, I'll divide log of 0.9 to the other side. Careful. Careful here. Remember, anytime you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality. Careful, this one's disguised. If you use your calculator and take log of 0.9, guess what you get? You get a negative number. So when I divide log of 0.9 to the other side, because log 0.9 is a negative number, I am dividing by a negative number, and I have to flip my inequality. Please be very, very careful of these problems on quizzes or tests. It's easy to forget. Well, actually, we'll talk about this in just a second. Anyway, log of 0.9 is a negative number. Because I'm dividing by it, I have to flip my inequality, so here's what I get. T goes, right, it's less than, it'll switch to greater than. So T is greater than common log of 1/2 divided by common log of 0.9. T is greater than, plug that into your calculator, you get 6.59 weeks. Okay, let's talk about this, right? Because that's kind of tricky. I get it, it's tricky. But here's the deal with this. Let's say that you forgot. Let's say that you didn't check to see if log of 0.9 is a negative number, you completely forgot. You're still going to get to here, but you would instead have T is less than log of 1/2 over log of 0.9, in which case you would get T is less than 6.59 weeks, right? You get the exact same answer I got, except your inequality is different. But then you go, hang on a second, hold the phone. I want to know how many weeks it'll be until the camera is less than half its original price. And this says T, the weeks of the sale, has to be less than 6.95. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? Obviously, it would have to be T greater than 6.59 weeks, right? So even if you didn't remember and you wound up with this answer, if you just think about it for a second, that answer doesn't make any sense. That it makes no sense that it would be T less than 6.59 weeks. T would have to be greater, right? You're practically, right? You're a little over 6.5 weeks after the sale started that the camera would be less than half its original price. This one, if T is less than 6.5 weeks, right? You're gonna be, right? It just doesn't make sense. Then the camera would be less than half its original price. So even if you forgot, just thinking about your answer, about the answer you get, you should recognize that something's not right. Even better than that, if up here at the top, you didn't write the problem originally as an inequality, what if you just had an equal sign all the way down through the problem, right? So up here, equals, 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 equals. I get all the way down here to equals, and then I get, boom, equals. What if it was equals? Think about this with me for a second. If you didn't put the inequality in, you would get T is equal to 6.59 weeks. What does that mean? Well, remember what we did in the original problem up here. What we did is we plugged in half the original price. So if you did an equal sign, what you have found is that at 6.59 weeks, the price of the camera is half the original price. You go back to the problem, and I want to know how long would it be before the camera is less than half the original price. Since it takes about 6.6 weeks for it to be half, you know it would have to be greater than 6.59 weeks, and you still get the same answer I get. So there's more than one way to think about this problem. If you make a mistake, just think about your answer for a second. It won't make sense. You'll know you went wrong somewhere, and then hopefully that'll refresh your memory. Ooh, maybe that log is a negative number. Or just forget about the inequality, do the equal sign the entire way through the problem. Then once you get your answer, go back and think about what your answer is supposed to mean, and you can throw your inequality in there at the end. All right, guys, head on over to the next page of the notes, and we'll try another problem. I'll meet you guys there.